second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna. So, we are discussing second canto where, like we have seen, Parikshit Maharaj has taken shelter of Shukadeva Goswami and asked him several, what is the duty of a man about to die and what is the duty of in general. So there, Shukadeva Goswami, he has explained about the one needs to perform bhakti, and he also explained the yoga process, and finally concluded that one needs to perform bhakti. And then he also discussed about other subjects like worshipping the devatas and worshipping the Supreme Lord. And he concluded, so there again, Sonakadi Rishis, they further asked, please tell us what are the further discussion that happened. So then Shaunakadi Sutta Goswami started explaining. So Parikshit Maharaj has asked questions again to explain about the creation, how the Lord, he has through his potencies, through his power, how he created this world. So that he wants to know. So for that, Shukadeva Goswami, he he offered, in order to answer that, before answering, he offered prayers to the Supreme Lord in several verses. And then he started quoting a conversation between Narada Muni and Brahmaji, so that in order to describe how the creation happened. So these are little technical chapters. So as I mentioned, the Leela of the Lord is very sweet and very one can hear and understand. And for that Leela to understand, this is showing the power of the Lord. It is how this material world is created, how everything is happening. So it's describing the little bit powerful aspect of the Lord, how he is the root cause of all this existence. So it will be useful for our understanding and increasing the appreciation for the Lord. So Narada Muni has approached Brahmaji and he asked several questions. He told that, oh Brahmaji, you know everything in this world. You are you understand you understand both Atma and Paramatma, and you understand everything, everyone's hearts. I have some questions about this universe. So this universe that we are seeing, what are all its characteristics? What is its background? How is it created? How is it maintained? What it depends on? And what is it composed of? Like that, everything about universe he is asking. Generally, this is the question that many people will have. How is this whole who universe is getting operated? Is it automatically operating? Prakriti is automatically doing, or someone is behind? So this question is he is asking. So I want to know how everything is operating like that, how everything is created. So then he Narada Muni is the son of Brahmaji, and everyone knows that Brahmaji is the creator of all the living entities. So he is asking that everything in this world is known to you because you are the creator. You are the creator. So for example, someone keeps a fruit on his hand, he can describe it easily. And you create by just like a spider, from its mouth, it expands the web and we place it for some time and again winds up it into its own mouth. So similarly, you create and you play for some time and you withdraw. So like that he glorifies Brahmaji, but and I also see there is no source for you. You are alone, and I don't see anyone above you. But I am getting some doubt because sometimes I see you are also performing some kind of tapasya, austerity. So is it that someone more powerful than you exist and you want to please him by your tapasyas? So I am getting this doubt. Please clarify. So like that, Narad Muni questions Brahmaji. So Brahmaji, in order to answer Narada Muni, he says that uh, actually you have asked very nice questions because you asked about how this universe has manifested and all those things. So that will give me an opportunity to meditate on the power of the Supreme Lord. So you have inspired me to meditate on the power of the Supreme Lord, and also you are like you are mentioning that I am the creator, like I only create, but actually I am not the creator. If someone doesn't know about the Supreme Lord, then they may speak about me as the creator in ignorance. So, but actually, the actual creator is the Supreme Lord Vishnu. And when he creates, like whatever blueprint or whatever he creates, that I recreate it. So actual creator is Vishnu, but I recreate what is already created. Because of that, I manifest other things like fire, moon, and all the planets, everything. Because of his brightness, because of him only, everything is all these are coming. Just like original source of light, Agni will be there, but because of that light, all other things like moon and the planets, stars, everyone twinkles and they also bright. So original source is sun, but all others are depending upon the sunlight and they are also shining. Similarly, Lord has created everything, but I only recreate what he recreated. So you can see in the picture, so this is actually Garbhodaksha Vishnu. From his navel, Brahmaji is coming. And Brahmaji, when he appeared, he doesn't know what to do. So that time he performs tapasya, and that time Lord empowers him to create. So that is what he is referring. So this will come in third canto again. So that time we will discuss more in detail this past time. So now he is explaining the philosophy here, Brahmaji. So he's saying that people in general, when they are bewildered by Lord Maya, so they they consider me to be the supreme. Actually, Lord Vishnu is the supreme, and because of Lord's Maya, people they are bewildered by that Maya, and they think that mamaham. They think in terms of me and mine. So in terms of my body and my what is belonging to my body. In terms of that, they will always think. So because they are bewildered by Lord's Maya. So now he starts answering the questions that he asked. Like he has asked several questions to explain about the universe. So now he is answering that he says that actually the Vasudeva, these five things that we see, Dravya, Kala, Karma, Swabhava, Jiva, all these ingredients, they are all used to create the universe. And he says that all these are non-different from Vasudeva. So, in general, that we see in this world, the total universe. So, Dravyam here refers to all the elements that created the material elements that we see in this world. These are all characteristics. They are all represented by Dravya. And Kala is the Shakti of the Lord, which will agitate Pradhana. So Pradhana is the like term used for the Prakriti, which is in when it is in when all the modes are in equilibrium state. That state is called as Pradhana. So when it is in equilibrium, the Kala energy of the Lord agitates the gunas, and Jiva is the one who is the enjoyer. That means Jiva is the living entity for whom this whole material world is being created, for him to enjoy. So this whole creation is basically constructed for the purpose of Jiva who wants to enjoy separate from the Lord. So therefore all these things are being created. And karma and swabhava, these two belongs to the Jiva, like from the previous annihilation. Like Jiva has some karma, like which he has performed previously, and swabhava is like his nature that is there to previous to his annihilation. So these two belongs to Jiva, and actually this belongs to the Prakriti. So Dravya, Karma, and Swabhava, these are related to Prakriti, and Jiva is the one more entity. Kala is the energy of the Lord. So when it is said that all these things are non-different from Vasudeva, so one needs to understand the philosophy that like the Vasudeva, Krishna or Vishnu, so these are all same personality in different names. So this Supreme Lord is like he has his energies. So one is called superior energy and another is called inferior energy. In Gita also it is taught. So all these material elements, they are all said to be inferior energy. So in Gita, 7th chapter Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Bhumi Rapo Nalo Vayu Kammano Buddhirevacha Ahankaramiti Amme Vinna Prakritir Ashtada. He says that 8 elements that he mentions, they are all Vinna Prakriti, my separated energy or inferior energy. But he says that Apareyam Itastvanyam Vidhi Me Param Jiva Bhutam Mahabaho Yayedam Dharite Jagat. There is one more superior Prakriti to than these elements. That is Jiva Bhuta, that is the Jiva energy of Jiva Shakti. So that is superior to this material energy. So these are like considered as Prakriti. He is using the word Jiva Bhuta Mahabaho, right? Like Bhumirapanaravaya Kamano Buddhirevacha Ahankaritiyane Binna Prakriti. So for the elements also he is using word Prakriti, and for the Jiva also he is using the word Prakriti. So Prakriti means it is like his energy in the sense. So Vasudeva is one personality who is having Satchidananda form, and he has his Prakriti in the 2 types. One is inferior Prakriti and another is superior Prakriti. So these 2 Prakritis, so they are, because his Prakriti, they are non-different from him. So he is called as Shaktiman and these are called as Shaktis. So Shakti and Shaktiman, they are non-different because actually from Shaktiman only Shakti is coming. So in that sense, all these things are non-different from Vasudeva. So this is the understanding of the philosophy, where all the elements that we see, all the Prakriti that we observe, and all the Jivas that we observe, one who is mature in knowledge, he will see them as the energies of Supreme Lord. So like whatever we see everywhere, whatever we conceive through our mind and everything, all the Jivas, everyone is actually the energies of the Supreme Lord. So that is the vision of a like a person who is advanced. So that's why he's saying that all the 5 ingredients creation are all non-different from Vasudeva. So because they are all non-different from his, like they're all arising from his energies. So this is like he asked the question, Yad Rupam. So Yad Rupam is what are the characteristics of the universe. So these are the characteristics. This universe is made up of all the elements in combination with Jiva. So Jiva, Swabhava and Karma, they together combination with elements that will make this universe. So these are all actually non-different from Vasudeva. So therefore, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanavan Ma Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. He says that after many births, a jnani will understand that Vasudeva Sarvamiti. So everywhere, everything in this verse, in this world is Vasudeva, and Samahatma Sudurlabha. That soul is very, very rare. But he also says that Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate. That means he understands that all this universe, all these things, everything is Vasudeva. That means these are all energies non-different from me. But he surrenders to me. He says that like Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate. So Krishna is saying that he surrenders to me, although he understands that all this Prakriti, Jiva, everything is Vasudeva, but he surrenders to me, the person, the Krishna or Vasudeva. So Lord is there, his energies are there. So Lord is Satchidananda and his energies are also non-different from him. But he is, as a personality, he is like different at the same time non-different. So this philosophy, this understanding is called as Achintya Bheda Abheda. So all these elements, they are all in one sense Abheda because they are all energies of the Lord. But they are also different from the Lord in the sense Lord is Satchidananda Vigraha. So, but this understanding that how to understand this difference and non-difference, so that is inconceivable, achintya, because the Supreme Lord, he has potencies beyond our imagination, because after all, our imagination is also a product of dravya, like all our intelligence, mind, ahankara, these are all actually one of the elements of this dravya. So therefore, he is beyond our imagination. So therefore, he is called, that is called as achintya. We cannot think how he is simultaneously one and non-different. So therefore, this understanding is called as achintya bheda abheda philosophy. So in that way, all the elements in the universe are non-different from Vasudeva, he mentions. And he quotes one shloka. So everything in this world is depending on Narayana. So he says that Narayana Paraveda Deva Narayana Angajaha Narayana Paraloka Narayana Paramakaha and Narayana Paro Yogo Narayana Parantapaha Narayana Paramjnanam Narayana Paragatihi. So that means all these things that we see, that people that will give knowledge, that will give some results, that will give whatever thing one wants, all these things will be coming from all these items: jnana, tapa, yoga, maka, sacrifice. So all these Vedas, everything, when one performs, he will attain some good auspicious results. So, but all these things, they are all having Narayana as the shelter. So ultimately, all these things are arising from Narayana, and all these things have ultimately the goal as Narayana, and all these things are actually able to produce the results based on Narayana. So therefore, Narayana is worth taking shelter. He is the shelter for every aspect of the things. So that's what these Brahmaji is clarifying. So actually, ultimately, everything is coming from Narayana. So therefore, people should take shelter of Narayana. So yad adhishtanam, what is the background? Yad param, what it depends on. So he is answering in these questions. He is Narayana is the background of the universe, and everything in this universe is depending upon Lord Narayana. So he clarified. And then he says that actually he actually creates, and I recreate from whatever he creates through his inspiration. That means he will give me inspiration to create. So based on his direction, based on his inspiration, whatever is already created, I recreate. So Brahmaji is clarifying that whatever I am doing, that is everything is coming from his only, through his inspiration and through his. Even Prabhupada, many times, Srila Prabhupada he used to say that scientists, they create so many things in this world, but actually several times he asked this question, from where their intelligence is coming to create, and from where the inspiration, the things they are occurring to them so that they are able to create, they are able to think all those things. So many scientists, it is they reveal that actually these things are revealed to me and therefore I am able to do like that. Many scientists have given that there is something called as some inspiration that came me in my mind, intelligence or somewhere, and therefore I am able to do like that. So that means that intelligence for anything in this world to create is coming from the Supreme Lord. And actually original creator Brahmaji is also saying, actually the original inspiration I get from the Lord, therefore I am able to create. And then if he says that there are three modes, Sattvam, Rajas, Tama, and these three modes are accepted by the Lord, and under the direction of the Lord, these three modes are actually creating everything. He is through these three modes, he is creating, maintaining, and destroying. So he, like these three modes, Sattva, Raja, Tamo gunas, are actually said to be the Lord's energies. So Lord controls this whole material world through his Maya Shakti, through these three modes. So he accepts in the sense that he controls them under his direction. He is never get in touch with the modes, but he directs them. So these three modes can never influence the Supreme Lord, but he directs these three modes to control all others. So this is like these modes belongs to the Lord. So Maya, consisting of these three modes, actually belongs to the Lord. But what these three modes do, they bind the jivas. So that's what he is mentioning. That these, although living entity is addressed as Nityada Muktam. That means he is liberated. That means he is above these three modes. Actually, he is like Para Prakriti, as we mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says that living entity are Para Prakriti, but the material nature is Binna Prakriti. So living entity is superior energy than material energy. But because that living entity wants to like lord it over nature, he wants to enjoy separate from the Lord. So because he wants to enjoy separate from the Lord, he is given a facility to enjoy through these material energy, these three modes. So these three modes are actually invisible ropes that are binding the living entity. So nice picture is given here. Like Supreme Lord is there. He is above these three modes, Sattva, Raja, Tamo. They are like the invisible ropes that are binding everyone. So that means like every living entity is under in this material world is under the influence of Sattva, Rajo, Tamo gunas. So because of these three gunas, he acts according to the way he develops his nature. So in this way, they are binding. They are invisible ropes. They are binding them. And so he is actually the living entity is addressed as Nityada Muktam. Actually, the living entity's position is above this material energy, but he is currently bound. So, but when he develops knowledge, he can actually again situate beyond these three modes. That's why he is called as Nityada Muktam. So, and he is the that because the Supreme Lord, he is people because they are bound by these three modes, they will not be able to understand the Supreme Lord. So people cannot perceive the Lord because they are under the influence of these three modes. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Naham prakashah sarvasya yoga maya samavritah mudoyam nabijanati mamebhya paramavya. Says because these three modes are covering everyone, so therefore they cannot perceive me, although I am situated everywhere. So people cannot perceive the Lord because, and Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita that even in this material world, like even in earth or in Swarga and everywhere in this world, all people are bound by these three modes. No one is exception. So except pure devotees, everyone is under the spell of these three modes. So after explaining the power, like how the Lord is controlling, Lord is the creator and he controls the world by three modes. Now he starts, Brahmaji, he starts explaining the process of creation. So this entire chart is based on how the Lord has created. So this creation process is elaborated in second canto and third canto. So in the like fifth, sixth chapters that we are seeing, this is explaining about this creation little bit. Again in 10th chapter it will come. Again in third canto, fifth chapter, sixth chapter it will come. Kapil Dev also discuss about these things. So these are like it will give some understanding of how this whole material world has created. We will see a little bit. So there are three aspects: Kala, Karma, Swabhava. So these are like Kala, Karma, Swabhava. Kala is the energy of the Supreme Lord. Like so Kala is the energy of the Supreme Lord. Karma and Swabhava belongs to Jiva. So these are the elements which he injects. The Lord Mahavishnu is Karanodakshai Vishnu. So yeah, one more concept maybe we have previously discussed, but I will again tell. So the Supreme Lord is there in the spiritual world, in Goloka as Krishna and in Vaikuntha as Vishnu. So he has several planets. So and these are like he is existing there in the spiritual world and he is enjoying there. But for the jivas who want to enjoy, he is creating this material world. So this material world is said to be like in one portion in the spiritual world. There in this material world, there is one ocean called Karana ocean. So in that Karana ocean, in order to create that material world, the Supreme Lord in the Vaikuntha world, he comes to this Karana ocean as Karanodakashayi Vishnu. He is also called as Mahavishnu. So he is lying on the Karanodakashayi ocean. So from him the material nature Pradhana will be coming. So Pradhana is always as Vishnu, the Supreme Lord is eternally existing. Prakriti or Pradhana is also eternally existing. So this is called Pradhana or Prakriti, the Prakriti in its original state. So there in that Pradhana, the Mahavishnu, this Karanodakshaya Vishnu, injects that Pradhana with Kala, Karma and Swabhava and the Jivas. So when he impregnates that Pradhana with the material nature, with the Jivas and also at the same time with Kala, Karma and Swabhava, so this Pradhana will be agitated and this Pradhana or Prakriti, the term that is used, these are like three modes that are in inactive states. They will get little bit mixed up and that produces what is called as Mahat Tattva. So Mahat Tattva is the first product that is coming from a Pradhana when it is agitated by Jiva, Kala, Karma and Swabhava. So this Mahatattva is primarily in Sattvaguna and Rajoguna. So mostly in Sattvaguna. When it is in little bit in Rajoguna, it is called as Sutra Tattva. And this Mahatattva again, with the influence of the Supreme Lord and his Kala Shakti, again it get transforms into when the mode of Tamoguna increases, it gets transformed into Ahankara. So ahankara is predominantly in tamas. So this ahankara also, again, when in mode of goodness, passion, ignorance, it produces different elements. So these are all different technical elements that I am describing. One can try to understand as much as possible. Otherwise, also we will continue to hear so that these things will be clear in the over some time, and we can proceed to hear about other past tense of the verb. But these are like little technical aspects. One can little whatever one can try to understand, one can understand. So ahankara, like which is predominantly in tamas, it is also under three modes. It produces different energies. When ahankara in the mode of goodness, it produces what is called as jnana shakti. When ahankara in the mode of passion, rajogun, it produces what is called as kriya shakti. Ahankara in the mode of ignorance, tamas, it produces what is called as dravya shakti. So through Jnana Shakti, Adi Daiva component of the universe will come. So this represents the Devatas. All the Devatas and mind. Mind is also said to be coming from Ahankara in the mode of goodness. And 10 sense Devatas, we will discuss what are those. So all the Devatas, you can think they are all coming from the Jnana Shakti of the Ahankara. And in the ahankara, in the mode of passion, that will generate what is called as kriya shakti. So that is represents adhyatma aspect, which basically produces prana and buddhi. And prana and buddhi, they in turn give energy to 10 senses. So buddhi, their 10 senses are 5 jnanendriyas and 5 karmendriyas. So 5 jnanendriyas, they are empowered through buddhi, and 5 karmendriyas, they basically work based on the empowerment from prana shakti. So these are the aspects of rajogun, ahankara in the mode of rajogun. And then ahankara in the mode of ignorance, this produces what is called as dravya shakti. Through dravya shakti, which produces adibhuta aspect of the universe, this produces 5 tanmatras and 5 elements. So what are these 5 tanmatras and 5 elements? They are these are like called as 5 tanmatras, and these are 5 elements: ether, air, fire, water, earth, sound, touch, form, taste, smell. So like if you see where it is going, what is all it related to me as a person, as a jiva, how does all this chart make sense to me, that one may ask. So like as a jiva, like we have 5 senses through which we are trying to gather knowledge. So when we see that all our senses are actually coming from this prakriti, and how this got transformed, and finally these senses have come to me, so that one can relate. And through senses, what we are doing, like for example, our eyes are there, or for example, our tongue is there. So through tongue, we are trying to taste, right? So that taste is actually coming through that element of water. So that tongue, what we are trying to enjoy through our tongue, the taste is actually these are tanmatra. They are called, taste is called tanmatra, and element is water. And if we are smelling some nice fragrance coming from a flower. So that nice smell of that flower is coming from actually the element earth, and that tanmatra is smell, so which we are able to perceive through our sense nose. And in order to facilitate that how we are able to smell, there is for each sense, for all these 10 senses, there is 10 sense devatas who facilitate our uh, that sense organ. For example, for the smell, there is a devata for the sense devata for the For the eye, it is sun god, and for there is one table which so like as I mentioned, we have 5 knowledge gathering senses, and 5 through these knowledge gathering senses, we try to experience some particular aspect of these things. For everything, since there is a devata that is providing us that opportunity to do. So as I mentioned, to smell, there is we have our facility as a nose we have. So this is called as gross sense organ, this nose. So this nose externally that we are seeing, our nose, whatever it have, so that is called as nasika. And internally, in a subtle form, there is this, for this external gross manifestation nose, there is an internal sense organ called as grana. So that is an internal nose which is there in the subtle body, through which actually we are able to realize that smell. And in order for us to realize this sense of smell through our sense organ, there is a devata called as Ashwini Kumaras. Because they are working, we are able to smell. So that object, whatever we are smelling, is the object smell, which is actually coming from the element earth. So earth element, like for example, flower is considered as an earth. So this earth element, flower, is producing some smell. So that smell, when it enters our nose, which is like gross organ, through the nose, it enters into our subtle organ, grana. And because these devatas, these Ashwini Kumaras, are supporting this sense of nose, we are able to experience that smell. Our subtle sense, our internal organ is able to recognize this smell. So similarly, for other 4 also. For example, we have talu, tongue, external gross tongue. And there is an internal organ for this tongue also called as jihva. And when we drink something, when we or eat any food will have basically the water component in that food, which will give taste. When our tongue tastes that, there is a devata, Varuna Dev, which will actually make us realize that taste. And similarly for eyes. So external eyes, these are called as Akshini. And internally there is a subtle sense organ in our subtle body called as Chakshu. And when we see anything, actually that fire element in that object that enters in the form of form. And Surya Devata is supporting our eyes to recognize that substance. So therefore we are able to see. And when we are similarly tvachi is the skin, and internal organ is tvak, and touch and air. So air, Vayu Devata is supporting that. Because of that, we are able to experience touch. So similarly, karna, ears, gross organ karna, internal organ is called as shrotra, and through this ear we are able to perceive sound, because there is a sense devata, dig devatas, they are all supporting us. So right now I am speaking and you are all hearing. So for this to happen, like these dig devatas are supporting us. So because of that, we are able to hear. So that means in day-to-day life, we can see so many people are supporting us but we are not able to recognize them. So Bhagavatam is like making us that in day-to-day life also everyone, so many things are happening. All these things are because of so many people are working in conjunction. And ultimately, as we have seen in that this chart, so these devatas are also mind sense devata. They are also created through ahankara and the mode of goodness. So basically, we can understand how everything is being operated coming from Supreme Lord Narayana. So because he is making everything is happening, so all these devatas are also working, and all these elements, everything is working, and then we are able to perceive. Again, these are like jnanendriyas. So these are like called as karmendriyas. So these are like 5 major karmendriyas we have. Like for speech, in order to speech, we have this mukham or voice, and there is a subtle organ called as vag. And for him, the sense devata Agni Dev is supporting that. That is why we are able to speak. So for me, when I am speaking, Agni Dev is supporting. That's why I am able to speak. And for the experience sensations, there is a subtle sense organ called Roma, and there is a sense devata called Mahiruha, and activities, sometimes itching and touch sensation comes. And to perform the activities like moving, etc., we have hands. And for that, the sense devata is called as Indra. So Indra is supporting us, therefore, we are able to move our hand and do other activities. And for move, to move, to roam, we have legs. For them, a sense devata called Upendra is a like he is the material devata. He is supporting us. He is also sometimes called as Vishnu or the Upendra. But he is a sense devata. He is not like Supreme Lord Vishnu. He is like empowered by Vishnu. So, and the activity we are able to move. And to produce offspring, Sishna genitals are there. The devata is Prajapati. The activity is procreation. To expel waste, Anus is there, and the devata is Mrityu, and activity is evacuation. And in like to change body, Nabal is there, and sense devata is Mrityu, and activity is there. So like that, all our activities are actually our day-to-day activities in this world. They are all being supported by so many devatas, and so many all these elements are working in conjunction. Therefore, one is able to work. So, and one more thing that we can discuss in this context is that, so when in the ahankara, in the mode of ignorance, it first produces the element called as sound. Sound is the first. This is like tanmatra. This is being the first created thing. From the sound, again through the Lord's power, Kala Shakti and Lord's power, it transforms into element called as ether. Ether or nabas or kam, Bhagavad Gita says. So this is through the medium of kam, ether, the sound travels. So this is like most subtle element among the 5 elements. And this ether or nabas or kam, when it is under the influence of the Lord's energy, Shakti, it transforms into a tanmatra called as touch. And again, through the Lord's energy and through Lord's Kala Shakti and power, it transforms into an element called as air. So air, because it is arising from ether, so it has both qualities of sound and touch. That means sound can travel through air, and also through air one can perceive touch. So air has 2 qualities. Ether or naba or sky has only one quality. It can only transmit sound. But air, through air, one can experience touch. We cannot see air because only we can see the form which is coming from next element. So therefore we cannot see air, but we can feel the air through our touch sensation. And also a sound also travels through air. Ether can also be perceived because sound travels. It cannot be even touched. So this is like more subtle than air. So, and from air, when the Supreme Lord's energy, it gets transformed into what is called as tanmatra form, and through this, it transforms into an element called fire. So because that element fire is there, we are able to perceive forms in all the existence. So that means because that element fire, basically fire means the light, we can say. So in order for us to see a form, we always require some kind of light. If light is not there, we will not be able to see it. So that means that fire element is there. That's why we are able to perceive any form. So sun god is the source of all the light in this material world. And whatever lights, for example, we have in our room, that is ultimately coming from the fire element, from sun god. So through that, because of the fire element exists, we are able to see. And this fire element again with the Lord's power and time element, when it gets transformed into tanmatra of taste. And this also again with the power of the Lord, it transforms into water. So again here fire has the properties of all these three: form, touch, and sound. Fire we can see, like any object that is having a fire element, we can see that form, we can also touch that form, and sound travels through that fire element also. And again taste is transforming into element water. So water has these four qualities: water we can taste, water we can see, water we can touch, and sound travels through water. And again, through when water, again with the Lord's power, it transforms into smell, and further transforms into the element earth. So earth has all the five properties. Earth we can smell, like earth means the element earth. Like originally the mother, like earth also produces some kind of smell, which is like smell. And all the products like flowers or any other, all these things are actually coming from earth. So that smell we can perceive. Earth we can taste also. So earth contains taste. Earth we can see. Earth we can touch. Sound travels through earth also. So like that, all these five elements are mentioned. So in our, like for example, like how to understand, maybe some more way we can understand, like how these in the current modern understanding, how can we perceive? Like for example, every earth element that we see, when we heat it, it converts into either water or gaseous element, right? That we know through chemistry. So that means, like ultimately, all these elements are interchangeable. So when the Bhagavatam says that these are all getting transformed through the energy of the Lord, we can practically see earth is also, for example, earth, if we eat some gold, which is earth element, after some time it transforms into liquid element. And if we further heat that liquid element, it transforms into air element, at least we know. So that least we can guess. And also, for example, water, if you know, it is like from chemistry we have read 2H2 plus O2 gives rise to 2H2O, like under the influence of fire. That means 2H2 plus O2. What is that? H2. H2 is a hydrogen, O2 is oxygen, which is like gaseous element. And when it is in under the subjected to the fire or some electricity, that is getting into transformed into a watery element, 2H2O. So even in practical science also we can perceive these things, what is being described here. In this way, all these elements are ultimately coming from ahankara, in the mode of ignorance. And all these 24, these are like total, the count, this is called as 24 elements. Like 10 elements, these are 10, and 10 sense devatas are there. Sorry, 10 senses are there, and 4 internal organs called as mind, intelligence, mind, buddhi, and mind, buddhi, and ahankara and pradhana. Ahankara, mahatattva, or mahatattva, ahankara and mahatattva. Like that, 24 elements are described in this Sankhya, this analysis. So this is also a part of jnana. So by analysis of all these things, what is happening is that all the time we identify with our body, but actually if you think actually, oh, whatever I am seeing, I am experiencing, actually my senses are interacting with the sense objects. I am aloof, I am simply observing them. So in that context we will be able to understand. So therefore we will be able to realize our position as Atma separate from all these elements. So because of that, that is why this knowledge is giving us all these important information. So that's why Sankhya philosophy is giving us intelligence to perceive how we are separate from our gross and subtle bodies. And ultimately, through Bhagavatam, we are able to understand that these are all created by the Supreme Lord through His power. So by all these transformations. So that's that Brahmaji has explained all these things. And after explaining this, how these are all the different elements are created. So all these different elements, these 23 elements which are created, so they are elements, they are individually created. Now, currently, they are all assembled in our body and assembled in this universe also. But originally, when they are created, they are all created in a individual elements. That means earth element is created, water element is created, fire element is created, and all the ahankara is there, mahatattva is there, senses are there. So, but they are all individually, they are lying. So how to understand is this? For example, we are cooking. So for cooking, we require raw ingredients, right? So after raw ingredients, when an expert cook, he mixes in a certain fashion. Then those raw ingredients, under the influence of energy of fire, they mix together and produce a ultimate product called like whatever that item that we are able to eat. So all these 23 elements are created through the power of the Lord. But these 23 elements are initially unmixed. So when these are unmixed, again the Lord he assembles all these 23 elements through his Shakti. So because of that, all these elements will combine together and form what is called as an universal egg. So this universal egg will be formed, and in this universal egg is basically a combination of these 23 elements. It forms like a shape of an egg. So in that universal egg, the Lord, he fills half of that universal egg with water, and after 1,000 years, he enters into that universal egg in the form of what is called as Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. So originally the personality is called as Karanodakashayi Vishnu, who is lying in Karana ocean. And from his hair pores, they're like this one anda, like that, so many Jagadandanatha, he is called as. So many andas, so many eggs will be formed, universal eggs. That means apart from our universe, there are so many millions and millions of universes that are coming from the hair pores of Karanodakashayi Vishnu. So in each universe, again, he fills that universe with half of water, and he enters one of his expansion as Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. Like that, in each universe, he expands as Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, and he sleeps there. So that means, like in our universe, the Lord Karanodakashayi Vishnu has entered as Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, and he is lying in the Garbhodaka water. So when he is lying, all these 24 elements that are mixed, that are also lying in his abdomen, lying in Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. Again, he enlivens that this combination, what is called as Virat Rupa. So that Virat Rupa will ultimately he expands and it produces what is called as a lotus that is coming from the stem of Garbhodaksha Vishnu. So in that lotus, even the Lord Brahmaji appeared on top of that Brahmaji, and this lotus only ultimately expands as the 14 planetary systems, that out of which one of the planetary system is Earth, where we are lying. So in this way, how we are situated is being explained through all this process. So ultimately, he is expanding into Virat Rupa, which comes out in the form of a lotus. And Brahmaji, he through that lotus, and again with the help of the Lord and Brahmaji, that lotus is formed into 14 planetary systems. So this Virat Rupa, that is 14 planetary systems, are actually can be thought of as a limbs of a Purusha. So this navel, from his navel, that lotus is coming. So that lotus is like, for example, this is a universe in the shape of an egg. So half of the universe is filled with water. Garbhodaksha Vishnu is lying. From his navel, the universe is coming, and Brahmaji planet is topmost planet. So between Brahmaji's planet and between Garbhodaksha Vishnu's navel, these 14 planetary systems, this lotus consisting of lotus, these 14 planetary systems exist. So these are, one can imagine these 14 planetary systems as a person who is having his feet and head situated in these planets. So like that it is mentioned. Patala is considered to be the feet of the Supreme Lord. Rasatala is like upper portion of the feet. Mahatala is ankles. Talatala is calves. Sutala is knees. Vitala thigh. Atala waist. Burloka is navel. Burloka is basically where we are staying. So he is like situated at the navel. Bhuvanloka is like navel to heart. Swarga is at the heart of this Purusha. Maharloka is chest. Janaloka is neck. Tapoloka is breast. And Satyaloka is head. Like that, this whole planetary system one can imagine to be a Purusha, form of the Purusha. And another way of thinking is that, like from the Lord's mouth, Brahmanas have come, from the Lord's arms, Kshatriyas have come, from the Lord's thighs, Vaishyas, and from the Lord's legs, Shudras have come. So this is another way of imagining Virat Purusha. And another way of imagining Virat Purusha is that Bhurloka and below planets, they can be considered as legs. Bhuvarloka is considered a big navel, and Swargaloka and upper planetary systems can be considered as chest to head. So these are the different ways of imagining the Supreme Lord. So this is how this whole universe is created. So basically, I have summarized chapters from not only this chapter, but again other sections from Bhagavatam combined together. I have a little bit summarized. So little technical section, we went into little detail, but it will be helpful in the future. Maybe I'll stop here if it is too technical. Maybe we'll try to understand other things. Slowly the Leelas will come. So maybe I will stop it here. If anyone has any questions, anything you want to discuss. Hare Krishna.
Anybody has any questions for Prabhuji?
Hare Krishna. So yeah, hopefully it is like little bit okay. It's not too technical.
No, it's very interesting, Prabhu, actually. Understanding this, none of us know all this information, right? So when we are reading and when you're explaining it, it's kind of going hand in hand.
Okay. So maybe we'll continue our discussion next week. We'll end here. Thank you everyone for your time.
Babu, you have a question?
No.
Okay.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Vandana Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai Srila Prabhu.
Jai Shri Prabhupada ki Jai, Shri Gurudev ki Jai.